Well, welcome everyone to this time of sacred space. And this evening, I'm going to be providing an activation around the central nervous system. And I'm going to take a few moments to get present so that I can receive the wisdom and the insight for that activation. But we're going to start off with taking a few deep breaths. So let's take about 5, please. Okay, let's just be present with the space here. So something around different body temperatures is coming up. So there's a need to calm the nervous system. So I'm going to ask that you take 3 more deep breaths, please. So I'm going to ask you also to be present with your body. Just sort of do what would seem like an initial scan. So if you're feeling heat in a certain area that seems a little bit abnormal, I'm going to ask you to focus on that area and take 3 nice deep breaths, please. And if you're having maybe some cooling sensations within your body and seems a little bit abnormal, I'm going to ask you to take 7 deep breaths and hold on the 7th breath for about 5 seconds. Okay. And if you're having a combination of the heat and the coldness, I'm going to invite you to place your right hand flat on the top of your head, and then take your left hand and put it in the middle of your sternum, or would be the breastbone. And we're going to take about 5 deep breaths. And so we just want to bring calmness and regulation to your nervous system. And I'm being present with the wisdom for the activation, but what's coming up now is for you to really focus on the core elements of your desires, what you most want to experience in life right now. Sometimes when we're having certain situations with our nervous system, and as it relates to the body temperatures being a little bit abnormal, so to speak, is that there's a deep core desire within the nervous framework, if you will, and it's communicating. And oftentimes the discomforts can provide us with some of the feedback that the body is trying to give us, but sometimes it's not necessarily about something negative going on within the body. It's just the communication of a desire for deep satisfaction to come into fruition, if you will. It's not coming into fruition and it desires to, and the body could be communicating what the core intention is, or what that core desire is that is actually trying to speak. And so as we take a few moments to continue to regulate the body's temperature so that we can tune into the central nervous system primarily, then you'll gain some insight. So I'm going to invite everyone, regardless of what body temperature you're experiencing right now, to place your hand flat on the top of your head. And this time, we're going to take 7 deep breaths as you put your hand on your sternum or on your breastbone and press in. Just give it a little firmness, not too hard. And let's take 7 deep breaths, please. Okay. So at this moment, I'm going to invite you to be present with the deep desire that your central nervous system is trying to communicate to you during this time. So let's do more deep breathing around this. So something even coming up initially for me is about focusing on things that are more pleasing and really immersing more in the pleasure of life's experiences. And so that's a deep core desire that's coming up and coming through, because within that contains kind of this compound or compacting energy of multiple elements of expression that really want to come forth. So it's a desire within the desire, the pleasure within the pleasure, and to allow myself to be pleased in ways far beyond what I can imagine, far beyond what I've allowed myself to experience at this point. And some of you may actually find resonance with that. And if you do, I'm going to invite you to take a nice deep breath, please. And so I'm feeling that this is actually something coming up in the collective energy, so to speak. And so even if something came up differently for you, we're going to still set the intention about the higher levels of pleasure and living a life that is pleasing in alignment with those core desires, so that in the activation, your central nervous system can send out the signals to the rest of your anatomy that this is about experiencing the pleasures of life. And discomfort certainly don't bring about the pleasures of life. But in this awareness and this intention and focus, then the solutions and also any pain points within or different things just going on can begin to subside. Or you'll be giving insight and wisdom on how to best support yourself, support your central nervous system during this time. Take a deep breath, please. So let's just be present here and think about something that's really pleasing to you. And there's kind of a duality vibration coming up now, is to focus on something that really does please you, that you've been accustomed to, but also there's new pleasure, something you haven't experienced before that you would like to. And then there's a third component as well. The third component coming up is being present with a desire you're not even aware of that will be pleasurable to you. So let's actually be present with the collective of this trinity, if you will, a trifecta of emerging desires and pleasures. So let's be present with the vibration or the energy of what's been common for you as a pleasing or pleasurable experience. So take a deep breath around this, please. And now let's be present with something that you desired that you have not experienced as of yet, that you feel would be pleasurable, be pleasing to you. Take a nice deep breath. And now we're going to be present with that deep inner desire of pleasure that desires to come forth that you're not aware would be pleasing to you and pleasurable. Take a nice deep breath, please. And now let's just be present with the whole of that experience, with all three awarenesses and desires and emerging intentions to come forth, because I feel like an intention is going to be set, that you're going to be setting individual intentions and a collective intention. And so expansiveness is coming up, which means that expanded awareness needs to take place, especially around the desire that you are most familiar with, because there's a newer component or element or aspect to that desire, and it actually is not being fulfilled. You think that you're doing something that's pleasurable and it's a desire, and because it's consistent and it's been a norm for you and you enjoy doing it, it's kind of more of an autopilot default of that pleasure. But now more intention needs to formulate around this commonality, so that you actually can extract, if you will, more of the nectar of the experience. So let's be present with that, because your central nervous system is reorienting for the communication aspect to share new data, new information around that commonality. Take a deep breath, please. And so now let's be present with that emerging desire, something you haven't done yet, but you want to. Let's set an intention around that. It could be a vibrational intention or one with words. And if you didn't flesh out the intention for the first phase, then feel free to quickly do that and then move right into setting a powerful intention for this aspect. Take a deep breath, please. So now let's be present for an intention to set as it relates to that deep desire that wants to come forth of what you haven't experienced. So set a powerful intention around that. And some of you, if you're not clear on the types of intentions that you could be setting, it could be more so a statement of intent. I'm looking forward to. I find this pleasurable and would like to experience more. I'm excited about exploring this new side or new context. Take a deep breath, please. And so now, with having the awareness around this, and even if nothing came up, there's going to be an opportunity to be even more present with your central nervous system, because there could also be more underlining communications that needs to come forth. And sometimes if you focus or get fixated on the initial conversation or communications, I should say, that come up, then it could distract you potentially from hearing the other messages. And this is where the conversation actually takes place on a deeper level with you and your anatomy, with your central nervous system. And so let's take a few moments to actually engage in the conversation. And this can be very, just from the standpoint of you having the awareness and asking questions in your mind, just silently to yourself, but being intentional. So have a conversation right now with your central nervous system. Ask it to communicate what you most need to know. And how do you best support it? How do you work together as a partner, as a cohesive unit for your overall well-being? And on that note, I want you to give thanks for your central nervous system. And you can share any praises or just whatever feels pleasurable for you to communicate to your central nervous system at this time, in the form of gratitude and more. Take a deep breath, please. So now we're going to be present in the calm of your system. Because there's something more that wants to come forth, something more that's desiring to be expressed, a deeper line of communication that is coming up in the format is it should be obvious, but yet it's being missed. So in the subtleties of the overlooking, without health problems and challenges becoming loud, this is the time where you can even get out ahead of those occurrences and just be present to receive the guidance, the wisdom, and the insight. Take a nice deep breath, please. And let's be more present in the calm. Resting and relaxing in the awareness is what's coming up. And this is going to be so important as we begin activating this newer template of desire. This desire is the hub of your pleasurability, if you will. So that's why the central nervous system during this time is the main focus, because the communication factor that's going out through all of your body is desiring to tie in all of what you desire, but into this main core hub desire. And the hub desire is where you're going to start to create your best life from that communication and that articulation. Take a deep breath, please. So the hub of your divine desire. So I want you to imagine yourself that with this knowledge and with this awareness of this part of who you are, I want you to see yourself sharing this with others in the most unique and authentic ways. How are you showing up? Sharing from this place. Take a deep breath, please. So let's just be present more in this calming energy that is bringing up even more awareness of this deeper desire. Tune in and listen into the underlining chief aims, if you will, the underlining hub, the central of you. Take a nice deep breath, please. Okay. So all that's come up, we are going to bring this into an activation. And as the activation is underway, certainly more insights can come up. But this expansiveness around your desire, the evolution of your desire, is going to manifest or materialize, if you will, in the most calmest ways that it will come in. And this is why it's important to allow yourself to be in the more relaxed state so that solutions can flow to you, things can come to you with ease. Take another nice deep breath, please. So you've awakened a part of your anatomy that you weren't even aware was there, and now it will be revealing itself to you. And some of this may happen within a few days, a few weeks, a few months. So be present even more with your central nervous system and just ask if there's anything else. I felt guided to kind of invite you to sort of revisit what has come up for you so far, so it can be activated and anchored at a deeper core level of your truth. Your main hub wants to be the star at this time, your main hub desire, and you have to allow this. The well-beingness of you really depends on it. Take a deep breath, please. And now in the calming of the energy of the evolution of the desire and expansiveness, we hold space and higher intention for the main hub desire to play out in fulfillment. Take a nice deep breath, please, and feel more into the calm. Feel your body temperature really regulating. Feel yourself be real relaxed as this activation is taking place in a very non-linear way, so to speak, but also with some context that you can understand. Take another nice deep breath, please. Now we're going to activate this and activate this in the most joyous and pleasurable expansion. It's interesting how this has been activating in different levels. I always appreciate when the multidimensional aspect comes out. Being in the pleasure of the knowingness, of the receptive mode of receiving the communication that is required to go throughout the entire anatomy. Take a nice deep breath. Just be in the space just a little bit more. And what's coming up for you right now? Are you feeling any different than you were prior to this experience? What has shifted? I can invite you to take 3 more deep breaths, please. I'm being called and guided again to take all of what has been and expand and evolutionize that desire and the awareness around the new desire and what's emerging. So let's be present. So bringing together this whole experience and activating this within the new anatomy that's coming forth as the overtaking well-being trajectory, the new nervous system, communicating the highest pleasurable aspects and elements of the chief core desire, and bringing that into an evolutionized context, meaning it's expanded and it's evolved like never before. Take another nice deep breath, please. And at this time, I would invite you again to give thanks. Give thanks to your central nervous system. Give thanks to Source, your creator. Take another nice deep breath, please. And we are complete. Thank you.